Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. With special thanks to our pals at ADT Taxis, Feed Me, Piglet's Pantry, Tiger, Leicester Garage Conversions, Pink Vehicle Leasing, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Moyer Wade Interiors, and our chosen charity, Memphis UK. We bring you the fans' views on the match each week, and your views matter to us. Join the fans debate each match with us. Follow us at Leicester Fan TV.
Good evening, welcome to Leicester Fan TV. My name's Phil. As ever, it's the Monday Night Fanzone show, and we can have a good old one-on-one chat about what went on yesterday. 3 good goals, Leicester beating Brighton very nicely. So get your views and get your comments on that. What did you think about the game against Brighton? As ever, we want your views, we want your comments. Everton up on Wednesday, 6 o'clock. It's a bit relentless at the moment. Then it's Spurs on Sunday. So we'll be wanting your score predictions later on in the show. Let's get as many of your comments in there as possible. LCFC Gray is watching on YouTube. Thanks for that, LCFC Gray. Good evening. Sean, sorry not getting fans on today. Gonna get, maybe Sinky might be joining us, and I might have an Everton fan on maybe later. But I thought I'd have a bit of a chat. Good chance to get lots and lots of comments on tonight, Sean. So get typing away. Let us know what you think. Gareth, how are you? What did you think to yesterday's game, Gareth? Which was the best goal? Which one? The first, the second, the third? Which one matters? What did you prefer and why? Talk me through it. Bin Little, how are you? Bin Little on YouTube. Great name, by the way. Yeah, I'm going well. How are you? Sean said about the link. Maz, good evening to you. Maz, thanks for logging in tonight and letting us know. I want to know what your views are. What did you think to yesterday's game? And something else we can talk about is, why are we still not really being considered part of the top 6? We touched on it yesterday in our post-match part of the watch-along show. I said it to Tom Locks and Jamie. We have been in the top 4 since August 2019. Yes, we dropped out on the final day of last season, as we all know, against Man United. But we're back in that top 4 again. We've been in the top 4 all this season. That means, I've not checked the stats, but effectively we have been in the top 4 of the Premier League for like 14, 15 months. So can we not start to consider ourselves at least a top 6 club? What do you think to that? Mick Hewitt, good evening to you. How are you? Well, John Towers is watching over on YouTube. So is Jamie from the Foxes. Good evening to you. Mick Paget, Facebook, as ever. Mick, how are you, Mick? Hope you're well. James says, Iosi Perez had another fantastic game, in my opinion, Phil. Great to see Ndidi back. Also, Ndidi, what a ball that was when he passed it through, didn't he? For one of the goals. Remind me which one it was, but what a great pass it was. And just coming back to James there, Perez looking a lot better. That little rest he's had, that dropping, seems to have worked out very well for him. He was playing further forward. He was playing a bit more like a striker at a lot of the game yesterday. CK watching on YouTube. Thank you, CK. Hope you're well. Says good evening. Gareth says it was a good game. I like Vardy's goal. Bring on Everton. Gareth, let me know, why did you like Jamie Vardy's goal the best? I mean, it was a good goal. 3 good goals, to be fair. Tell me why you thought that was the best. LCFC Gray says Matters was awesome, but what about JJ? His work rate never ended. Yeah, we were watching. We were looking earlier on in the day, and who was it? Budweiser's man of the match yesterday. They gave it to Jamie Vardy. Now, he played well, but I really don't know why they gave it to Jamie Vardy. Great goal, but anyway. Let me know what your views are on that. Will says, good evening. Maddison's second goal was the best. I think a lot of fans are going to go with that. What a strike that was. He played around with it on the edge of the box and then curled it in there. Somebody in the Facebook group says, as fans, we need to stay as positive as the players. Far too much negativity recently on various LCFC pages. Of course, whoever that is, you won't hear too much negativity on Leicester Fan TV. But we will be honest. If we think it's gone bad, we will let you know. Jamie from the Fox's Arms says he thinks we are title contenders. I think we're title contenders. I think this is a strange year this year, a bit like the year we won it. Liverpool are definitely not on their best form, nor a Spurs. Spurs won't win it. We all know they'll bottle it, so they're not in contention at all, even though they're top. Man City and Arsenal nowhere to be seen. Nigel, watching on Facebook, says James Justin played a blinder. He's getting better and better, isn't he? He really is. Young prospect, young English prospect. James Justin had a cracking game yesterday. LCFC Gray says we are definitely top 6. I think we've got to start to consider that. Hopefully we've got Mike coming on from Everton Fanzone very shortly to get his views about Wednesday's game. Trying to get through as many of your comments first. We'll ask Mike what he thinks of Leicester City at the moment. Bin Littlething says, I think everyone knows deep down we are a top 6, but to the papers we'll only be little old Leicester. Like somebody said yesterday in the post-match show, so what? It doesn't hurt if everybody always thinks we're never going to do it. It probably plays into our hands. Mick says we look so much better playing 4-4-2. Maddison so much better in the middle. Maddison looked absolutely weak. Let's face it, some Leicester fans, we were debating him before the match yesterday, saying he's been a bit off form, but that was he put that through ball through to Jamie Vardy at the end of the Sheffield United game. Maybe that's what he needed, a bit of love from everybody to say how good he was, but he played an absolute blinder yesterday. Nick Mackey says Madder's goal, a second goal, was goal of the season contender yesterday. Hassan, I thought Fofana looked much better yesterday. Got his hair back to the correct colour, or the better colour of that blonde hair. Maybe that was what was letting him down, but he looked really good again yesterday and stretching his legs going forward again. Mick says we're top 6 club. It's the media that don't realise it. I know. Still more talk about Arsenal this morning, and they're 15th in the league. It's great to see clubs like Leicester, Southampton, Everton. We'll talk about them all doing quite well at the moment. Joanna, good evening. Joanna says, imagine how much better they will be when we're back in their chanting. I was thinking yesterday that might happen soon, but I'm not so sure, Joanna. It may be a good few weeks, maybe months before we are back in there. Obviously, London's gone back to Tier 3 now, so I don't know. Did you watch any of the games with the fans in? I did see, I think in the Palace game, saw a load of fans charge off to celebrate with a player at one point. Strange one. LCFC Gray says sublime performance from Madders in there. I think everybody agrees. A bit of a split decision on who was man of the match yesterday. I don't know who you thought that was. Nigel says we're not considered worthy top 6 because pundits and journalists always support the status quo. Lazy and conservative thinking to back the money and the history, not the merit. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I'm going to ask Mick when he comes on from the Everton fanzine what he thinks a little bit about Arsenal, because are they just done? Is their time over? Just because they were a giant club doesn't mean that they should be anymore. Ben's talking about the draw, obviously, today. We're playing Slava Prague, however you want to say it, the correct way, in the Europa League. Anyway, he's talking about flights there. I don't think we'll be able to go, Ben, will we? Officially, maybe we will. Jono, watching on YouTube tonight, says the little old Leicester tag is starting to wear off now. I think we get recognition for being a good team, but at least they have stopped being surprised we're up there. Great coverage by Amazon yesterday. It really was good coverage. Nice to see them talking about the actual game and not lots of other big teams as so-called. So looking forward. I believe the Everton game is on Amazon as well, so looking forward to that. Phil, have you heard of Peter Mallinger? He used to be the vice chairman of Newcastle United. I'm related to him. Fee, I haven't. But it's always nice to have a famous ex-chairman of a football team in the family. Yes, Kent, I agree. R.I.P. Gerard Houllier, one of the gentlemen of football. What a shame he did pass away today. Indeed. So, Kent, thanks for saying that indeed. Bin Liddle is passing that one as well, giving his condolences. Michael getting back to Leicester saying we're contenders for what I thought was a one-in-a-lifetime time for me. Michael, I'm with you. I never thought we would win the Premier League once, but I actually believe now we could win it again. I believe other teams could win it again. I do believe other teams, we've led the way, but other teams can go on and win the Premier League, and I wouldn't rule out that Leicester could go and do it again. I am mad. Zab, thanks for watching on Facebook, says, good evening. Have to say, really excited for the remainder of the season. With key players coming back, anything can happen. Zab, would Ricardo Pereira and Castagna get back in that team, especially with James Justin playing like he did indeed? Bin also asked, what are the thoughts on the draw? I think it's a great draw in the Europa League. I think Prague, they're a decent side. Obviously, they're in the Europa League, but I think when we're on form like we can be at the moment, I think we certainly can. But Bin, tell me, what do you think about it? Not what I think. What do you think? Jono also is asking about that. It would be a decent weekend away. I tell you what, I'd wish we pulled Prague out the draw when none of this Corona nonsense was going on. Ross saying, agreeing with the Amazon coverage being great. I thought it was. And Andrew brings us back down to reality with his 40 points. Mick is in the back room. Hopefully, Mick, are you ready to come in and chat with us? Let's add him in. Now, Mick, good evening. How are you, mate?
Hiya, mate. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm really good. Now, Mick, just introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm Mike from the Blue Boyz Network. Fellow YouTube channel, 7,300 subscribers. Everton fan, been through it all, home and away. I'm a Brummie, as you can probably tell, but my dad's a Scouser, and he inflicted me with this disability, unfortunately. So, so yeah, it's going to be a tough game.
Mike, stick with it, because like all us Leicester fans got inflicted with being Leicester fans for whatever reason, and like we were just chatting about before you came on, it does sort of, we did do it once, as everybody knows, but it seems like you guys, Everton, you must have a glimmer, especially this season, because there's some strange results going on.
I think the issue you've got is, I think no team is consistent. I think the entire league is up for grabs this season by anyone. For example, us losing at home to Leeds, you lot losing at home to Villa. Yeah. These are games that you expect to win. Everton have spent £500 million in 5 years, which if you put it in the grand scheme of things, Everton are the second highest spenders in the Premier League as of right now over the last 5 years. Yet we're worse than what we were when we had no money. So it's who knows this season. I have no idea who's going to win the league. If I was a betting man, I'd go Spurs. I think they are the most consistent. I think Mourinho, as much as I don't like him and as much as Tottenham are very much bottle jobs, I suspect that he would have got in there and he's been able to change their mentality. But I think it's Spurs. But there's an opportunity for teams like Leicester, like Everton, even West Ham to finish top four this season. And that's got to be the target for both teams. Everton had a great start to the season, 13 points after 5 games. You guys was a little bit more gradual, but you were always in the top 4-ish. And now you've been able to sort of step up. And I think you're only 1 point off top. So there's no reason a team like Leicester can't challenge. But there's equally no reason why a team like Everton can't challenge either.
Again, Mike, I think perhaps people won't believe it, but I know I'm older than you, and I do remember back in the day, Everton were one of those. Don't laugh, Mike. I remember Everton back in the 80s. Jono's just put there about. He says he's a Leicester fan. He says he's got a soft spot for Everton ever since Gary Lineker went there in '85. I've got to be fair, myself as well. I always, after Gary Lineker left us, I always kept an eye on Everton. And you went on, you had a good couple of seasons around that period, obviously winning the league, winning FA Cups. I think, was it '86 you won the FA Cup against Liverpool? My memory's better of back then than it is of today. But listen, a lot of the younger people watching this will be like, Everton, they've not been there. But, there's no reason. You guys, you're in 7th, but 20 points. You're only, what's that, 5 points off the top?
Yeah, and I think, look, it's difficult for Everton. We've been a long-established Premier League team. We've been a top-flight team for 70 years. We've played more games in the top flight than any other team in existence. People forget that when they talk about Everton. They forget that, yes, we are a big club, but we're a sleeping giant rather than a big club right now. There's a lot of things that need to change. Firstly, the mentality, which Carlo Ancelotti coming in is a sign of that. That's a sign of things to change. But it takes time, and it takes time and a lot of money, and we've wasted a lot of money. That's been Everton's issue. They've spent £500 million on complete crap.
I think. I mean, the year you bought Sigurdsson, which Leicester were interested at that same point in him, I thought you spent, I think it was about 50 million for him, but you also pulled in like 3 or 4 similar types of players for similar types of money.
Rooney and Klassen. Klassen come in for 30 million, Rooney come in for 10 million, and they're all number 10s. And then we also signed Balassi, Pickford, Michael Keane. We spent like £200 million on players that were not Premier League top level players anymore. You know, it's fine saying Everton can spend money, and it's fine as Everton fans going, yeah, but we spend loads of money, but we wasted it. In what planet would Balassi cost 28 million?
I mean, Ross says here, and I'm going to put it on screen, I agree with him. Rodriguez has been a steal for you. There's been times I've watched him play some of the games this season, and he has been quite sensational, I think. What's your views on him?
Yeah, he's been... When he is on his game,
yeah,
he usually is the best player on the pitch for both teams. He usually is the best.
Yeah.
But ever since that Liverpool game, he's not been really fit. He hurt his testicles in the tackle with Van Dijk. And he's not quite been the same, to be honest, since. However, against a side like Leicester on Wednesday, he wouldn't start for me because I expect Leicester to have a lot of the ball. I expect Leicester to push Everton quite deep into their own half. James Rodriguez is not a defensive player. He's a number 10 who will unlock any defence in the Premier League when we're in their half. Everton aren't going to spend a lot of time in Leicester's half because Leicester are going to dominate the ball. And in my opinion, it's going to be a very similar game to the game that Everton had against Chelsea. Chelsea had 72% of the possession. And I think we were fine with that because we coped with it. We sat back. We allowed the pressure. And that's what Everton are going to try and do against Leicester. And that's where James struggles because he doesn't do that defensive job.
Do you feel like you're going to come and park the bus a little bit?
We won't park the bus, but we will play a flat back 4. I suspect he'll play the same back 4 that played against Chelsea. But again, Carlo Ancelotti, absolutely no one knows because it changes week in, week out. Some of his decisions are sometimes a bit mad.
Are they?
Yeah.
Do the fans struggle with some of them a little bit?
Yeah, sometimes. But, you know, for example, against Southampton, against Newcastle, he completely set up wrong. Against Burnley, he completely set up wrong as well. And it was only for the fact that Delph went off with a hamstring injury that he could bring on a player that could bring balance to that side of the pitch, which meant we could go and get at Burnley. He found against that Burnley side balance. He could put Godfrey on the left. He could put Holgate on the right, which is what he did against Chelsea. And it's what I suspect he'll do against Leicester because they've got the pace, they've got the strength. They'll track Maddison, Vardy, Tielemans, whoever will make them pushing runs. They will be able to keep up with them and track them. Where Everton are going to have to be aggressive against Leicester is in the middle of the park because you've got a very, very good player that I think is completely underrated in Premier League terms, which is Ndidi. Or you have got another lad as well who plays in there. And they
Mendy.
win. Yeah, Mendy. They win the ball back. They graft. They have this ability of simply getting the ball and passing it to the better players around them, which is Maddison and Tielemans or whoever. Everton have to be on that because if we're not, it's going to be a very, very long afternoon for Everton.
I don't want to give you too much of a chink of light for the game, but John O'Towers says Johnny Evans is out for us on Wednesday. And again, without giving you too many secrets away, from a Leicester fan's point of view, Johnny Evans has been the glue that has made Harry Maguire look like an £85 million player. He's been the player that's made Sonku look like a £50-60 million player. Johnny Evans, who we signed obviously for £3.5 million from West Brom when they went down, he has been, again, no nonsense, just really solid. That he's been around the block, but he's out for us, and I think that might leave us a bit exposed. Which players do you think might take advantage of that, Mike?
Well, it's going to be depending on who you play at the back. So will you play? Is it likely that you'll have to play Morgan now, for example? Because isn't Soyuncu out as well?
Soyuncu is out. So the debate is, do you play Wes Morgan, who is like 37? I know he's been there, seen there, and done it. Or do we play, you mentioned Wilfred Ndidi at the back there, or do we play again Christian? You know, we're a bit short at the centre-backs at the moment. That's all right. He's pulled his mic out. Don't worry.
There you go.
Mike's pulled the mic out. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, to be honest, it doesn't really matter who you stick there, because what will happen is when you push on us and the three will remain in the middle, we won't play through the middle of the park. What Everton will do is they will play down the wings. So Richarlison will go on the left, Iwobi will go down the right, and when Leicester hurt us or attack us, we'll press. We will counter. The pace of Dominic Calvert-Lewin against whoever you stick at the back would have hurt them. You know, he's top goal scorer for a reason this season.
Yeah.
He will be confident against any centre back in the league. The fact that you haven't got Johnny Evans is a massive bonus, but Everton will have to get down the flanks. You know, as you've just said, James, or Justin James, whatever his name is, he's been fantastic since you signed him from Luton. And he really had a good game the weekend. You know, got that assist as well for, I think it was Vardy or Maddison, one of the two.
Yeah, Vardy, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good assist. He's playing well. If Everton can get him behind Leicester on the flanks, Dominic Calvert-Lewin will get the ball in the box and he will score. There's no ifs and buts. The issue for Everton is going to be if they can get out. And if they can get out, they'll hurt you. If they can't get out, then it's going to be a very, very long day, and it's going to be defence v attack for the entire game.
Well, Mike, we've struggled. Although we're up near the top, we have struggled 2 or 3 games at home this season where teams have come and played a little bit like you're suggesting Everton are. Maybe not part the bus, but absorb the pressure and then break quickly. And like you say, Calvert-Lewin, he's not on 11 goals for no reason. He is dangerous. He's looked good for England as well, by the way. So I think if you come and play that type of game, that's exactly what Leicester don't like. When we play against teams who do come and have a real go at us, Brighton did. We said as fans, don't if they park the bus, we struggle to break them down. But Brighton came and had a little bit of a go, and we were like, thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I don't think Carlo will do it, because if I can see it, you can see it. You'd expect the man on £11.5 million a year to know it as well.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, he is tactically, he's a great manager, isn't he?
Sometimes.
You're not convinced?
No, well, it's just Everton, at the start of the season, Everton flying absolutely high. You know, we were soaring. You know, Everton fans were really confident. We played Liverpool, got a draw, but, you know, we played well, bearing in mind the circumstances of the game, Pickford and Van Dijk and all of that rubbish. But we went to Southampton the week after and we didn't turn up. This is the same side that went to Palace and won easily, went to Spurs, only team to beat Spurs this season. And to not turn up against Southampton, then to go and lose to Newcastle the week after, then to set up completely wrong at home to Manchester United, who, quite frankly, how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still in the job is beyond me. It was, to say, disappointing. And then if you go even further, Everton have only won 2 games in 8. And we're still only 4 or 5 points off the top. And our target's top 4. So at the minute, we're 2 points off the top or 2 points from our target, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So for Everton, games against Leicester is where we've got to play differently. We've got to show what we're capable of doing. That's the dog. We've got to show what we're capable of doing. And if we soak up the pressure, if we hit you like we hit Chelsea, you know, we had a penalty. We could have got another penalty if it wasn't for the fact that Dominic Calvert-Lewin's neck was offside or something stupid.
Yeah.
We would have had 2 penalties, and Chelsea didn't really look like scoring apart from hitting the post. And if we could do that against the Leicester side, that is, no disrespect to Leicester, on paper at least, are not as good as Chelsea, then Everton can go to Leicester and get a result. But it's going to be a hell of a game and a very, very difficult game to do it. So I even think this game's going to be 4-0 Leicester or 2-1 or 1-0 Everton. Actually, in my match prediction, I've actually gone 1-1. But the more I think about it, the more I think I don't think we're going to get a draw at this. I think it's going to either be an Everton win, and we do it by not having the ball, or it's a Leicester win, and you just absolutely destroy us for 90 minutes.
It's going to be, I think there are going to be goals in it, potentially, for both sides. I agree with you on that, Mike. Can I just ask you, a few people have put in there. Firstly, a couple of Leicester fans have put in there about Alan, who plays for you, saying that they rate him highly, another bargain.
Yeah, Alan's been a breath of fresh air, really. I think, how much was he? 25 million? 25 million pounds, 29 years old, from Napoli, played under Carlo Ancelotti. He is an absolute enforcer. So he's got the highest tackle success rate in the Premier League. He's got the highest amount of tackles. And he's a player that will not only tackle, but he can play football. He'll get the ball on the deck. He'll turn. He'll play it left or right. And what's really clever about Alan is he's really composed. So he doesn't just pick up the ball. He doesn't just get his head up. He doesn't just pick out that pass. He thinks, and he'll make the right pass. And that's where, in my opinion, that's where you see a difference in central midfielders. It's if they've got the composure to stop and almost see the pitch. And Alan does that perfectly. The issue we've had is next to him, because we also signed Decore. And Decore, bar the last match, has done nothing to impress me this season. And I can understand why he was in the relegated side.
Mike, to be fair, it sounds like Everton, when you're on song and you're all ticking along nicely, do you feel like you've got a real team that could challenge to be top six at the end of this season? But do you also have a team where when it all sort of unravels, it just falls to bits a bit?
If Everton are on their day at home, Everton can beat anyone in the league. The issue is that happens not as much as Everton fans would like. You know, if I went through Everton's team, you know, and you go Pickford in goal, yes, he's got issues, but he's not the worst.
No, well, so Leicester fans just put that. Neil's just said he feels Pickford looks dodgy, and he could see him bringing Vardy down for a penalty. Vardy's very good at buying a penalty, by the way. You know, so
Well, Pickford's looked much better in the last 3 games, but he is. And there's no doubt about it, he is dodgy, and that would be an area that I would bring in. I'd bring in a goalkeeper. I wanted Sergio Romero for Manchester United, and his wife wanted the move. And as probably we all know, Manchester United blocked the move because they saw Everton as rivals this season. So that was a nice feeling. But you go Pickford, Luca Dean, then you go in the middle of the park and you go Michael Keane, Mason Holgate, Yuri Mina. You know, these are players that. They're 70 million pounds. Luca Dean, 25 million. There's 95 million. Pickford, 30 million, 125 million. Then you go to the right hand side. You've got Seamus Coleman, who's been there for years. Then you've got in the middle of the park, Andre Gomez, Decore, Allen, Rodriguez, Richarlison, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. As an Everton fan, if you stick that team on the pitch, you're going to say, well, on paper,
it's a good team.
It's a good team. It's a great team. You know, you'd sit there and go, that challenges top 4. And it's vice versa with Leicester. If you go, you've got Castagna, you've got Ricardo the other side, your 2 centre-backs, Soyuncu and
Johnny
and
Evans.
Johnny Evans. And then in the middle of the park, in Ndidi or Mendy. Again, Tillemans, Maddison. I like Chengazunda, but I don't know where he quite fits in your team. But I think the one weakness of you lot is maybe you could still do with a winger. I still think you could do with a winger. And I know my friend Ellis from the True Fox, he thinks the same. Ellis and me are very close, and we've been saying for years that you need a winger because Gray He's a good winger. He's not a bad winger, but he's not a top 4 winger, which is what you need.
But yes, I mean, we've got Under who's come in, who's looked good in the Europa League, not quite broken into the Premier League action yet. But we're playing very wide with wing backs, as you saw with James Justin. This is the way Brendan Rodgers likes to play. He wants to play effectively. We're playing with 2 wingers. They're the wing backs, and they play well.
Which is why I think Everton can hurt you. because if they're up the pitch, that's the space that Richarlison and Iwobi would just run down the line.
Well, Brighton at 0-0 yesterday. Brighton nearly exposed that very much because we were three at the back and the two wing backs were right up. Just before I let you go, Mike, thanks for joining us, by the way. Which Leicester player do you fear might hurt you the most? And I'm not necessarily Maddison. Yeah, okay. Why is that?
Because he's found his feet again. Before the game against Brighton, I know he'd had a few injuries. He'd been a bit here and there. I don't think he'd been as consistent as you guys would probably like, because when he's on his form, he's definitely one of the three best English centre midfielders, three best English players, talented technically. And you must remember that you signed him ahead of us.
Yeah, you were interested, weren't you? Yeah.
Well, the rumour with Everton was that he actually had a medical with us first.
Really?
And then went to you lot. So, so either way, he was a steal for what you paid for him. And Maddison getting on the ball in the middle of the park, he pulls the strings. He dictates play. He's very clever, both-footed. And as we saw the other night, he chops on his right, comes back on his left, curls it into the top corner. It's a great goal. He's very, very capable of doing that from 35 yards. He's very capable of doing it from 4 yards. That's what Everton have to be careful of, because it's absolutely fine us trying to park the bus, absorb the pressure. You've got players like Maddison who can shoot from 30 yards and put it top bins. And that's what Everton have got to be careful of tomorrow. If Maddison has a good game, Leicester win. That's as simple as I think it is.
Mike, just before you go, again, can you remind everybody of what your channels are, where they can follow you, and give us that score prediction? Are you sticking with your 1-1?
No, I'm not. No, now that I've thought about it, no. It's really difficult, the score prediction.
It's always tricky because between an Everton and Leicester game, there's been quite a lot of high-scoring draws recently, hasn't there? There's been 2-2s and that sort of stuff.
It's been awful. The Carabao Cup last season, we equalised last minute. You beat us on penalties.
Yeah.
I think we beat you. We beat you 2-1.
There's normally a ding-dong game between. I think we beat you at Boxing Day a couple of years ago at your place.
Yeah, I remember that 1-0, Jamie Vardy. Yeah, I remember that. And I remember Sigurdsson turning Maddison, because obviously that goal was fantastic. He turns Maddison, shoots from 30. I have no idea. So do you know what? I'm going to stick with 1-1. I'm going to stick with 1-1. But it really wouldn't surprise me, either team winning this.
Go anyway.
It wouldn't. In terms of me, so channels, the Blue Boyz Network, we're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. By all means, come over and follow. We've got a little prize going at the minute, so if we can get to 7,500 subs by Boxing Day, there will be a prize. So come and subscribe, guys. We really appreciate it, and we are a friendly bunch. I'm not hostile to any away fans, I promise. You'll love the infuriated, passionate rages that we get into, and. Yeah, thoroughly enjoy it, guys.
Well, let's see. Mike, thanks a lot for joining us. It's been brilliant to have your views on of Everton and Leicester as well. We'll see what happens at 6 o'clock on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Funny old time. All right, then. Cheers, Mike. I'm going to let you go. Cheers, pal. That was great to have Mike on. Fantastic to get. It's always great to have these away views on there. Jamie's reminding Jono, it's a home game, isn't it? So... Jono saying, Fox's Arms 2-2, right? Yeah, Jamie will be going for that. 22 million Matters was back last night, but needs to find consistency now. Yeah, that's always the way, isn't it? Joanna says, all the money in the world will get you great players. Doesn't mean they will gel together and play well. Look at our bill for what we called misfits. Yes, hardly anywhere near what other teams paid out, yet they played as brothers, nothing could stop them. A question we haven't got time to discuss at the moment. Is this team starting to look as good as the 2015-16 team? I want to discuss that with you. I shouldn't really be asking you that at the end of this one. Let's have a chat on that another day. I'm really interested. I'm just starting to look at it and think maybe this is as good as that team. We'll see. The proof will be in the pudding. As ever, thanks as always to all your views, all your comments. Thanks for Mike for joining us there. Wednesday night we are back. The match is at 6 o'clock, so we'll be live from 5:30. So please do come and join us. Thanks, Joanna. I said we can't have this debate now. Joanna saying yes, it's happening again. So's Caisden said that. Ross says let's not talk about it till after Boxing Day. LCFC Great agrees. Yeah, let's park that conversation for after we've beaten. Well, let's see. We've got Everton, Spurs, Man United. Let's have that discussion then. Join me for that. Don't forget, join us for Wednesday, live from 5:30 on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope and Twitter. Wherever you are, please follow us. Please like our stuff. Please go over to YouTube and subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate that. But keep doing what you do and keep following Leicester all the way. Thanks again to these guys for helping bring you Leicester Fan TV. See you soon.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. With special thanks to our pals at ABT Taxis, Feed Me, Piglet's Pantry, Tiger, Leicester Garage Conversions, Pink Vehicle Leasing, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Moyer Wade Interiors, and our chosen charity, Memphis UK. We bring you the fans' views on the match each week, and your views matter to us. Join the fans debate each match with us. Follow us at Leicester Fan TV.